Shed Talk, the weekly magazine video series looking at the keeping, breeding and showing of caged birds with a particular focus on the exhibition style budgerigar. And again, in this episode we're going to continue with that focus on the budgerigars, because we're going to pair up the final three pairs. I say the final three pairs, the final three pairs of the first six, if that makes sense, of the first six pairs that we're putting down in this year's breeding season. So we'll get those out from the flights behind me. We'll have a look at them and discuss why those particular birds have gone together, and then we'll pop them into the main breeding cages. Before I start though, for those of you in the UK will know that there's been a little bit of I don't know, a debacle, I suppose, in terms of whether or not we needed to register our birds with the government, so with the Department for Environment and Rural Affairs, I think mainly around APFA, so the Animal Plant and Health Agency. So and there was the website said that we must have all registered, or pretty much all of us must have registered by the 1st of October. However, the legislation hadn't gone through Parliament, so or even though they were telling us we needed to register, we didn't need to register because they couldn't enforce it, because there wasn't any legislation, so no legal requirement for us to do it. But mainly I say that in England and Wales that's the case. In Scotland it was slightly different, because there is some legislation, but they've got until December apparently to register anyway. So lots and lots of discussions online, lots of confusion. I think we are there now though. I think we all fully understand that we don't need to, but we'll have to wait and see whether the legislation does go through and we all end up having to register. Either way, currently no requirement to register in England and Wales as I understand it. That of course may change. Anyway, enough of that confusion. Let's get on with getting some birds out and taking a look at them for the final three pairs of the first six that are going down. So then, pair number 4, we have the cockbird on the right as you look at them, the opaline cinnamon sky blue. This bird just lacked a little bit between the eyes and across the back of the head. But otherwise was quite a nice bird. He had a reasonable style about him, and reasonable depth of mark, and a fairly finer feathered bird. So I suppose if we were talking about canaries, a much more yellowy type bird. On the left is another light green. This is a light green hen. She had much better width between the eyes, so a much better face, and another nice big mask. But as you can probably see, the way she's sitting here, she definitely lacks a bit of style, which is slightly more heavily feathered than he is. So these two do complement each other, although they are not the bird 4 and bird 4, so to speak. So not the 4th best cock and the 4th best hen. Actually, the hen is was marked down as my 4th best hen based on my scoring system. But unfortunately, the cockbird that I was going to put with her, so the 4th best cockbird, is too closely related. So I've moved the 5th best bird, which was this one, up, and actually they do complement each other reasonably well. So even though I said they were less closely related than the other ones would have been, which were about 50-50 or 50%, so almost brother and sister, these are about 29%. So they do share a fair good number of genes, but the offspring has a inbreeding coefficient of just 14%. So higher than the first 3 birds we put down, but I quite like that sort of 14%. Between 12 and 15 is quite nice for me. I think it shows that they're reasonably close, or the offspring's going to be reasonably close. So these are, like I say, going to be my pair 4. We'll have to see how they get on. Hence it's very low on the perch, doesn't she? I'm not sure she does that so much in the flight. It may be just a bit of stress, but hopefully they won't. If she does sit that low in the show cage, she won't pass that on. If she does, I'll have to think about whether I use her again. Once again, as usual, let me know your thoughts on this pair. I haven't told you their ages, have I? The cockbird is a 23 rung bird, so last year, and so is the hen. This hen is one of the birds, is actually from the blue family, and is one of the birds off the cobalt cockbird, you may remember, who produce quite a lot of green hens, and most of which were quite reasonable. And the cockbird is from the yellow-faced family, although again not a yellow-faced bird, so she may carry the yellow-faced gene though. We know we know the hen is split for blue, so there is a possibility that we could get yellow-face out of this pairing. I think you can see when the cockbird's looking at us how he lacks that width between the eyes. But the hen hopefully will pass on and improve in terms of the offspring. Right, so that is pair 4. I just need to trim the vents and pop these into cage number 4. Cinnamon sky, opaline cinnamon sky blue, and a light green hen. And so we'll move on to pair 5. This is a light green cockbird on the left. And again, this bird was the bird that came out 4th best in terms of the overall rundown. You can see that he is missing some feathers on the wing, not in terms of flight feathers, just some general feathers on the wing. He was feather plucked as a youngster and never recovered those feathers, but otherwise he recovered very, very fine. This is one of my older cockbirds, so I am hoping we will get something off him. It's a 2021 rung cockbird, so he is getting towards the end of what I suppose would be considered his breeding life. He does have quite a nice face on him and a reasonable style about him. The hen, which came out 5th, was actually, this bird was a bird that won a CC for me, although you wouldn't think it looking at her now. She does lack a little bit of width between the eyes that I'm hoping the cockbird will be able to add, but she's got a much better depth of mask than he has, so she will bring that to the party. And they're both reasonably stylish. You can see when the hen looks forward, you can see she's quite narrow and quite pinched across the face. So hopefully the cockbird will add a bit, give her a bit more width. The hen, of course, is a cinnamon opaline sky blue. She is a 2023 rung bird. Inbreeding coefficient on these two birds again is reasonably high, so it's around about 10 percent, so not quite as high as I would like, but it's reasonably high. And I'm really not sure how these two are gonna fare together. If he does bring that directional feathering to her, the feathering that's coming down across the eyes to her, I would be happy. But again, you can only really pair up what you've got, and these two birds did do quite well in terms of the rundown, so they will get a chance to show me what they can produce in the breeding cage. Again, let me know your thoughts. He's being a little bit aggressive to her, but they'll settle down once they're in the breeding cage together. And these two will go into cage number 5, and they are pair number 5. And again, just need to trim the vents of these two, and they can again go back into that breeding cage. So, a light green and a opaline cinnamon sky blue. They both do show quite a lot of length in terms of their overall size, so in terms of length rather than width. So hopefully we'll get some nice long birds off of these two. Right, so that is pair number 5. Well, before we talk about the final pair, pair number 6, I just thought I'd say, if you've made it this far and you enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the like buttons. All the likes help the channel to grow, so help it to become more visible on YouTube. If you're not yet a subscriber, please do subscribe to the channel, and if you want early notifications of when the next video is going to be uploaded, then hit the bell icon. Right, pair number 6. Okay, on to the final pair then, which is pair number 6, and we have on the left we've got a cinnamon green, which strangely enough on my records I've got it down as a cinnamon grey green, and it's definitely not a cinnamon grey green, is it? You can tell by the cheek patches, if nothing else. Right, so we've got a cinnamon, probably a dark green, which has given it that sort of grey-green type appearance. Anyway, so we've got a cinnamon green cockbird, and that, obviously that bird is on the left, and we're pairing that to an opaline cinnamon grey hen. Now, this cinnamon green cockbird in the flight had sort of semi-paired up, I suppose you could say, with another bird, but I've decided to stick to my original idea rather than do a love pairing, basically because when I looked at these two birds on paper, they actually complemented each other really well. Now, the cockbird, I said, lacked a little bit of depth in behind the head. And the hen actually contained a little bit more of that, so I thought that the hen would help him out there. The cockbird's quite a stylish bird, whereas the hen isn't particularly stylish. The cockbird also has a fair amount of size to him, and some good width across the mask. The hen's got a nice deep mask, but as you can probably see, is much less stylish to him. So I think the hen will add something overall to this cockbird. They're both quite big birds. So you can probably see the hen is a little tiny bit tipped. And that's probably part of the opaline in her. Sorry, I don't know. So I said what she is. So she's an opaline cinnamon grey. And you can see that she's a little bit tipped. But the cockbird isn't. So I'm hoping that any birds that are produced won't be tipped. Of course, we yeah, so like I say, hoping that the two birds or any birds that are produced won't be tipped. The cinnamon green cockbird is from the blue family, and as you might guess, the cinnamon opaline grey is from the grey family. They're not that closely related, about 13%, so about where I quite like them to be, at the lower end of where I quite like them to be. And any offspring will have only a 6% inbreeding coefficient, which again is quite nice. Maybe a little bit low, but it's okay. Yeah, so I actually quite like, I think this pairing is a good match on paper and both when I look at them visually. The hen's got quite a nice width across the face. I don't know if you can catch it when she looks at us, but she's got quite a nice width across the face, whereas the cockbird may be a little bit pinched by the eyes. So again, I'm hoping the hen will add a little bit top end features to this bird, and the cockbird will bring that style to them. So that is the final pair then that we're going to put down in this first set of rounds. So, and it'll go into cage number 6, and we will see how this particular pair get on then. Right, let's get these out of there and pop them into the cage number 6. Well, I've popped that final pair into cage 6, and I've just realised I didn't tell you the age of the birds or when they were rung. So the cockbird is a late rung 2023 bird, and the hen is an early rung 2024 bird. So there's not a lot of difference in terms of the age between them. It was as the ring changeover. You may know that because I start slightly early, quite often I've got a few birds in the first round that are on 2023 rung rings, and then some birds in, again, towards the end of the first round, beginning of the second round, are rung with the 2024 rung birds. So there we are, that's the final pair that we've got in there. Again, I mentioned right at the beginning of this video about the confusion around whether you need to, in the UK, whether you need to register if you keep birds, and I said that the current thought was that because the legislation is not in place yet, the direction from APFA was that you don't need to register birds. 2 days since I started recording, just 2 days since I started recording, and the latest guidance now from DEFRA, and this has been confirmed by the Budgerigar Society, who have been talking to DEFRA, so thank you very much to Harry, who did that liaison with DEFRA. They have said that the legislation is now in place, and that anybody who, irrespective of where you keep your birds, so whether they're undercover or not, irrespective of how many birds you keep, so whether it's the 50 and more or 49 or less, if you take birds to a show, so if you show your birds, then you do need to register with DEFRA. So I will now be registering very, very shortly. Apparently they've given the Budgerigar Society, and I expect really everybody, a month's grace in order to register because of the confusion. That's the way it is at the moment. maybe in the next video, I'll come back with something else. Who knows? Anyway, thoughts. I know there are some people who watch the videos who are in the UK. Thoughts on how this is going. It just seems remarkable that, you know, one person can phone up and be told one thing from the agency, and another person can phone up and be told something completely different by the agency. Anyway, the guidance is clear on the website, and the guidance from the Budgerigar Society is clear. So I am now going to register with DEFRA that I keep birds, and because I intend to show them at some stage. Right then, that is just about it from this episode. If you did enjoy it, as always, I think I've said it before, do hit the like button. But most importantly, until the next one, do stay safe, enjoy your birds.